Hello everyone, this is Tamer Bloba and welcome to my review of DigitalTamers ReBorn. So, I've played this game extensively, and I've made it decently far into the end game, finished the story and everything, and I think I'm finally qualified to give you guys a proper review. So, the first thing I want to start out with is go to the store and buy a Digi-Egg. Just a regular old Digitamer. When you start the game, it'll look something very similar to this. Your Digimon that you get are all random. There are things you can do to influence it later on, but when you first start, this little guy right here, there was nothing I could do to change it. This is just what it was going to be. And that's okay. It does make it a little bit RNG based on what Digimon you're going to be able to get in the long run, but after you get to the rookie level, then you're able to start controlling the fate of your Digimon. Now, the training system itself, you can split between attack and defense, both over each other, health and special attack. Both of them also lower each other. You can acquire training boost throughout the course of the game as well. Training itself has a pretty cool little mini game. See, there's different symbols, and depending on what you hit, it depends on what training you get. I think that's pretty cool, pretty fun way to engage in training your Digimon. It does get a little bit tedious as you get farther into the game. You have an energy system that's not too cumbersome. You have a pretty decent stats here. You have all your XP, tells you when you level up. Now, it is very hard if you do not literally look up on the online guide to find out exactly how a Digimon evolves. And evolution overall is really, really grindy, and that's the theme of the game, is it's very, very grindy. The farther you get into the game, the more options you're going to have to reduce that grind, but just to show you, we're going to go ahead and level up again. Now that whole little line there, that's how long you have to wait, and then this is how the Digilution works, like you get to see. And then your Digimon also get hungry, that you have to feed them. You have your whole little bar here, you can give them health items, and then pills to increase their training, and etc, etc. For the combat, let us grab one of our further evolved Digimons. We'll go into the challenge mode. The combat, this is how it works. You'll just see stuff like this. Pretty standardly. It usually won't be this fast of a win, but you get the general idea of what the combat looks and feels like. Oops, sorry for that. If we go into something a little bit more difficult, then you can start to see how... Alright, now I have these things where I can use these different abilities. Like this one will increase my attack. Then you can do this. This is where a lot of your combat comes from. You can do one attack, your other attack. Most Digimon have a ranged and melee attack. This Digimon has 2 melee. You can jump, and these do have cooldowns on them. You can see loot drops from attacks like that. Now, this particular fight is a very late game fight, and we might even lose here, but this is a very late game boss fight, so it's probably not the best example of how your average fight will go. They'll usually be a lot faster than this and a lot less drawn out. But this is a good idea to give you a picture of what a end game fight will look like, and I think that's very important, because the end game is probably where this game lacks the most of anything. And that the end game is so grindy. Like, I have put a ridiculous amount of time in here, and it still feels like I can't do the end game. I've ended my Let's Play based on people saying that they didn't really want to watch the grindy end game, and I can't really blame them, because I don't really feel inspired to play it. With the way the combat works, there's not a lot you can do skill-wise, and it's all based on how you... what abilities you have, what Digimon you have, and then all of these things you have to grind to get. The story itself is over here. It's a little bit convoluted on how the story works. It doesn't tell you very much. That's one of the big problems, is that you'll never really know what you're doing or what you're up to. Let me just take you over and show you something. We go into the digital world like so. And once you're here, you have to wait a very long time for some tamers to show up. After these tamers show up, which we're probably not going to wait for, then you fight them, you get digital tickets. Now this is pretty cool because you can run around here, you can fight these various Digimon, get some XP, you can have a potential to drop little data cores that then you can turn into them without having the randomness, but then you have to get the evolution unlocker, which is more RNG, which is more time and effort put into it, and the RNG rate is not wonderful. In my experience, I've had an entire arc in my Let's Play based around how bad the RNG was of that. And then you see here we have these little things that we can get, which are pretty fun and everything. Overall, it's very fun. The combat's engaging. The grind can be engaging to a certain extent. But there gets to be a point where you're like, it's all too much. You just want to play the game. And if I wanted to play the story right now, I can't. See, I have 3 out of 10 tickets. Each time you fight a tamer, 4 can spawn maximum per stay in the world, and I've seen a lot of times where not even 4 spawn. It doesn't tell you when they're all spawned. It takes a long time to get those tickets. It would on average take me about 30 minutes per attempt I want to make at a chapter. This really artificially inflates the gameplay. Now, once you actually get in there though, the rewards are very, very, very lucrative for the game, and the story itself is very reminiscent of what you might see in the Digimon anime. If you're a fan of the Digimon anime, you'll probably be a fan of this story. It focuses more on a Digimon viewpoint with no tamers or anything like that. So that's a little bit different and a little bit cool in my opinion. There's also some free battles that you can do to grind. Once again, more of mostly the same grinding. Now, if you enjoy this game's mechanics, you are going to have a good time, because that you're going to be able to get past the grind and keep going. But if you're like, man, I want to play a story, or I just want to get this next evolution, that is where the game really falls flat, and that it drains you and takes you forever to get anything done. Evolutions are very chance-based. Spawns for Digimon and Tamers are chance-based. Drops are chance-based. It feels like a free-to-play game that you would play on mobile, and that you would pay for power boosts to get better loot or loot boxes or something like that. Thankfully, it's not. It's completely free-to-play. You can donate to Dragon Ball Art. Overall, it is a great game. And if you love Digimon, you owe it to yourself to play. The art is absolutely wonderful. The soundtrack is very nice. A little bit repetitive because when you go to challenge modes and stuff like that, it doesn't really change. But in the digital world, every digital world has its own background music. The soundtrack in the main story is wonderful. And overall, for the second game, if Dragon Ball Art, if you're watching this, the second game, I would say, please cut back on the randomness and cut back on the grind. It's an amazing concept. The art is amazing. The music is amazing. The combat is fun. But when you just force someone to go down a really grindy, really RNG-based path, it makes it a lot less fun. So if the second game had more of a straightforward progression system where it didn't require as much RNG or as much grind, I think that would be so much more fun. Overall, I think this is a very solid game. I'm looking forward to the second one, and I've had a lot of fun with this one. I wouldn't have played over 80 episodes of it if I didn't enjoy it. So, thank you guys for watching. This is Monster and Bloba signing off. I hope this review helped you decide if this game was for you. If you have any more questions about the game, please leave a comment below. I also have a full series covering from the start of your first egg all the way to finishing the main story, as well as multiple guides for beginners, and I'm open to the idea of making more guides if there's any in-depth topic you want to know about. So until next time, this is Monster and Bloba signing off. Hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye, God bless, and I will see you all in the next one.